I want to start by saying that I'm not a superstitious person. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in demons. I believe in logic, in evidence, in things that can be explained. But I also believe in what I saw and what I heard and what the police found inside my walls. I have told this story to 3 people in my life. My sister, who stopped sleeping well after hearing it, a therapist who suggested I move on, and a friend who told me to share it. So here I am. This is not a ghost story. I wish it were. Ghosts don't leave footprints. Ghosts don't eat your food. Ghosts don't watch you sleep through a hole in the wall. People do. My name is not important. What matters is that in 2019, I moved into a house in rural Vermont. Small town, quiet neighbourhood, cheap rent. I was 27, working remotely and looking for peace and quiet away from the city. No roommates, no neighbours close enough to bother me. Just silence. The house was old, built in the 1940s, the landlord said. 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a basement I never used, and walls that were thick. Unusually thick for that era of construction. The landlord told me it was extra insulation. Old houses in Vermont needed it for the winters, he said. I believed him. The first few months were perfect. Quiet nights, cold air, the occasional sound of wind hitting the old wooden frame of the house. I cooked my own meals, worked my hours, slept well. I remember thinking that this was exactly what I'd been looking for, a place where nothing happened. I was wrong. It started with sounds, small ones, easy to dismiss. A knock somewhere, deep in the wall, then nothing. A scratch behind the drywall in my bedroom, slow and deliberate. I assumed it was mice. Vermont winters drive all kinds of animals indoors. I bought traps, set them in the basement and the attic, checked them every morning for 2 weeks. They were never triggered. Not once, but the sounds continued, and they were changing. What had started as occasional knocks became a pattern. Every night, between 1 and 3 in the morning, something moved inside my walls. I started tracking it in a notebook. Tuesday 1:15 a.m, scratching sound, north wall of bedroom. Thursday 2:40 a.m, single knock, same wall. Saturday 1:55 a.m, dragging sound, slow, heading towards the hallway. I told myself it was the structure of the house settling. I told myself it was pipes expanding in the cold. I told myself a lot of things. Then one night in February, about 4 months after I moved in, I woke up at 2 a.m. to something different. Not a scratch, not a knock. Breathing, slow, steady breathing, coming from inside the wall behind my headboard. I sat completely still for what felt like an hour, listening, telling myself it was the pipes. Old houses have strange pipes. Old houses make strange sounds. Then I heard it shift, a slow, deliberate movement, like someone adjusting their position after sitting still for too long. I turned on every light in the house and did not sleep until sunrise. I called my landlord the next morning, told him I thought there might be an animal in the walls. He sent someone to check the insulation. They spent 2 hours going through the attic and the basement. They checked every room. They knocked on walls, listening for hollow spaces. They found nothing. No entry points, no droppings, no nests. Just thick, undisturbed insulation. And yet, the sounds kept coming. Always at night. Always between 1 and 3 in the morning. Always near my bedroom. I started recording with my phone, left it on my nightstand every night, facing the wall. Most nights there was nothing on the recordings. Silence, the occasional creak of the house, wind outside, but on a Thursday in March I captured something that made my stomach drop. On the recording, at exactly 1:47 AM, there is a sound. It lasts 4 seconds. I have listened to it hundreds of times since then. It is not a pipe. It is not wind. It is not an animal. It is a whisper. I could not make out the words. The audio quality wasn't good enough, but the rhythm was unmistakable, slow, deliberate, like someone speaking very quietly and very carefully. Someone was whispering on the other side of my bedroom wall. I sent the recording to 2 friends. Both of them told me to get out of the house immediately. I sent it to a 3rd friend who studied audio engineering. He listened to it for an hour and told me it was almost certainly a human voice. Almost certainly. I didn't leave. Looking back, I can't fully explain why. Part of me still wanted a logical explanation. Part of me felt like I was losing my mind and needed to prove I wasn't. So instead, I started paying attention to other things. My food. I lived alone and cooked for one, but my groceries were disappearing faster than they should. A loaf of bread gone in 3 days instead of 7. Half a block of cheese missing. A container of leftovers I was certain I hadn't touched. I thought I was simply eating more without, or realising it. Stress does that. Then I noticed my bathroom, small things slightly out of place. A towel moved from the left hook to the right. A bar of soap worn down faster than usual. The bathroom mirror sometimes slightly tilted in the morning when I was certain I hadn't touched it. I had a single toothbrush in the holder. I had bought it when I moved in. It was blue. One morning I found a second toothbrush pushed to the very back of the holder, nearly invisible against the white plastic. It was not mine. It was yellow, old. The bristles were worn flat. Someone had been using my bathroom. I called the police that day. They searched the house. 2 officers, thorough, professional, nothing. No signs of forced entry. No one in the attic, nothing in the basement. The officer who took my statement was polite, but I could tell he thought I was dealing with anxiety, stress from living alone, an overactive imagination. He suggested I see a doctor. I almost did. 3 weeks later, a pipe burst in the wall between my bedroom and the hallway. Water started seeping through the baseboard at 3 in the morning. I called an emergency plumber. He arrived within the hour, opened the drywall to access the pipe, and stopped. He didn't say anything for almost a full minute. He just stood there with his tools at his side, staring into the opening in the wall. Then he told me to call the police. Inside the wall, in a space that had been deliberately modified and expanded over time, there was a living space, a sleeping bag, flattened from use, a small battery-powered lantern, nearly out of battery, stacks of empty food wrappers, carefully folded, a collection of notebooks filled front to back with small, precise handwriting, and a hole no larger than a fist, drilled directly through the wall into my bedroom, positioned exactly at the height of my bed. He had been watching me sleep. For 3 years, the entire time I had lived in that house, and likely long before, a man had been living inside my walls. The police identified him 3 days later, a former tenant from the early 2000s who had never fully left. He had lost his housing, found a way back in through the basement, and over months had quietly modified the wall cavities to create a hidden space large enough to live in. He knew the house better than I did. He knew my routines, my schedule, when I slept, when I showered, when I left, and when I came back. The notebooks contained detailed observations, written in small, careful handwriting, dates and times, what I ate, what I watched, what time I turned off the lights, about me. Every single entry was about me. I never went back to that house. I left Vermont entirely, and I have not been back since. The man was arrested and charged. I won't share his name here. But I think about those 3 years often, all the nights I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, completely certain I was alone. I was never alone, not once. And the thing that keeps me up at night, the thing I cannot shake even now, is not the sounds, or the toothbrush, or the notebooks. It is the fact that I lived with that feeling for so long. That slow, quiet unease. The sense that something was wrong that I could never quite name. My body knew before my mind did. If you ever feel that something is off in your home, don't wait for proof, just leave. If this story kept you up tonight, you are not alone. Leave a comment below. I read every single one. Subscribe if you want more stories like this. New video tomorrow. Sleep well.